Heartwarming journey, woman's hidden affair exposed after 5 life-changing days in Vegas. Mary had spent years running on empty, trying to juggle the demands of her nursing career and raising 2 children in a suburban Ohio town. At 38, she knew the faces of exhaustion all too well: those early mornings in scrubs, the late-night homework, the bills piling higher than her children's art supplies. But for the first time in years, the thought of escaping her reality pulled at her heart, whispering that maybe, just maybe, she deserved a break. On an impulsive whim, Mary booked a last-minute trip to Las Vegas, driven by sheer desperation to feel alive again. When she stepped off the plane, the neon lights seemed to pulse with her heartbeat. The city buzzed with energy and possibilities. Through all the chaotic flashes of slot machines and laughter, she felt something she hadn't in a long time: hope. That shimmering buzz ignited a fire in her chest as she inhaled the scent of adventure. It was at a local art gallery that she met Jake. He exuded charm, a free spirit with paint-stained hands and laughter that rang like music. They chatted over a couple of cocktails, the crowd fading into the background as he drew her into his world, one filled with spontaneity and passion. In his company, Mary felt seen, wanted, alive. Each shared story and laugh sparked more than just attraction, each moment coiled deeper into her soul, awakening the person she thought was lost forever. The weight of responsibility slipped away like smoke, as she shared wild dreams and laughed over silly inside jokes. In those 5 days, the world she knew faded, replaced by a vivid landscape of joy and excitement. But as her heart danced, so did her fears, a soft whisper reminding her of the children she left behind, their faces now shrouded in worry as the clock ticked on without her. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Returning home was more than a flight, it was a descent into reality. Whispers buzzed around her small town, a storm of judgments threatening to obliterate the woman she had been. Neighbors expressed shock, their disapproving gazes heavy as lead. Mary, normally respected for her integrity, suddenly felt like a pariah. She faced the agonizing task of explaining herself to her children, their innocent faces twisted in confusion. As the secrets hung in the air, she grappled with shattered trust. Desperate to return to the woman she was, Mary tried to suppress her adventurous spirit, but the walls were closing in. Could she rebuild what had been broken? Could she reconcile the exhilarating freedom she craved with the family who depended on her? On those lonely nights, the questions fluttered like moths through her mind. What does it mean to overcome judgment? Is love strong enough to survive scrutiny? Standing on the knife's edge of vulnerability, Mary could feel the weight of her choices pressing down like an avalanche. Her heart pulsed with uncertainty, the community that once embraced her now turned away. She took a deep breath, courage swelling in her chest. In that moment, she realized the journey ahead would demand more than just answers. It would require vulnerability, strength, and perhaps most importantly, the chance for redemption. What would she do next? Each day felt like an eternity for Mary as she navigated her new reality, which was now filled with judgment and unspoken tension. At work, her colleagues offered polite smiles that barely masked their curiosity. The whispers followed her like shadows, always just behind her, waiting to share their version of her story. On a rainy Wednesday, Mary found herself sitting at her kitchen table, the remnants of breakfast scattered before her. The hollow sound of her children's laughter through the hallway cut through her thoughts like a knife. Elizabeth, her 8-year-old daughter, burst into the room, her pigtails bouncing. "Mom! Can we play dolls tonight?" she asked, oblivious to the weight hanging on Mary's shoulders. "Of course, sweetheart," Mary replied, forcing a smile. The thrill of playtime usually brought her joy, but today it felt like another reminder of what she stood to lose. As night fell and Elizabeth settled into bed, Mary felt the familiar pang of guilt gnawing at her. She was losing precious moments with her children due to her own reckless heart. Could she gain their trust back? After putting a reluctant Timothy, her 10-year-old son, to bed, she sat alone, staring at her phone. There it was, Jake's number. She had resisted the urge to reach out since her return, but in the stillness, it felt like her only lifeline. Her fingers hovered over the screen, her thoughts a dizzying mess. Would he understand? Could she still keep a piece of that freedom alive? Just as she began to type, a loud knock broke her concentration. Startled, Mary glanced toward the door. Who could be visiting at this hour? Hesitantly, she opened it to find her neighbor, Susan, standing there with an expression that mixed concern with something heavier. "Mary, can we talk?" Susan's voice was low, almost cautious. Mary nodded, stepping aside to let her in. The conversation began innocently enough, small talk about the weather, the town's recent events, but soon turned serious. "I heard about your trip. I wanted to make sure you're okay," Susan said gently. A wave of vulnerability washed over Mary. I didn't mean for things to go so far," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. Susan's gaze softened. "People talk. It's what they do. But you need to remember, you're more than what they say. You're a good mother and a respected nurse." Mary felt tears prick her eyes. Could she really be those things again? Or was she irrevocably changed? The conversation stretched on, revealing layers of hurt and hope. As they spoke, Mary began to see a glimmer of light in the dark clouds surrounding her. Maybe she could reclaim her old self while also making space for the part of her that longed for something more. After Susan left, Mary was left with a sense of determination. If she could face the judgment, maybe she could also reach out to Jake, not as an escape, but as a step towards reconciliation with herself. She took a deep breath, lifted her phone, and hit send. When her message appeared on the screen, her heart raced. Would he respond? As she awaited the inevitable reply, she could feel her heart balance on a precipice between fear and excitement. Maybe this was the beginning of something new. But then came a thought that froze her, a sudden realization that echoed in her mind. What if Jake was waiting for her to reconnect, not just with him, but with the person she was meant to be? And what if, in the process, she discovered something deeper about love and forgiveness? The screen lit up with a notification, and Mary's heart thumped loudly in her chest. A message had come in. What did it say? The words popped up on her screen, sending shivers down her spine. "Hey Mary. It's been a while. I thought you were lost to the wind." A simple, casual greeting. But the undertone of warmth hit her like a wave. It felt like a long-lost friend reaching out, just as she had feared. "Jake," she whispered to herself, memories swirling around her. Each moment they shared flooded back, each laugh and secret echoing off the walls of her mind. She hesitated, her fingers trembling slightly as she debated how to respond. Should she keep it light, just a casual conversation? Or let him in deeper, share the struggle she was facing? The weight of her decision settled heavily on her shoulders. Mary began typing, fingers flying across the screen. "Hey. I'm still here, just, trying to figure things out. Can we talk?" She hit send and took a deep breath, heart racing. The silence in her kitchen was deafening. Dark clouds rolled past her kitchen window, and the sound of raindrops hitting the roof filled the space. Time ticked slowly as she waited, each second feeling like an hour. She couldn't shake the feeling that reaching out was a plunge into a deep unknown. Was she brave or foolish? Moments later, another notification lit up her phone. "Absolutely. Love to catch up. Can I swing by tomorrow?" Mary stared at the screen, her throat tightening. Could she really invite him into her world again, knowing how everyone viewed her now? But maybe it was a step toward finding herself again. A chance to reclaim the pieces of her fractured identity. Sure, around 6. She typed back, fully aware of the implications. Her stomach churned. As much as she missed the connection, the fear of judgment, both self-imposed and societal, gnawed at her. That night, as she lay in bed, she couldn't sleep. Images of Jake flickered in her mind, lighting up flashes of happiness, but they were intertwined with guilt and longing. She had been so reckless, hadn't she? The shadows of doubt hung over her thoughts. Were her children better off without her, confusions complicating their lives? The morning sun peeked through the curtains, illuminating her bedroom. With a deep breath, Mary faced the mirror, taking in the reflection of her tired eyes. She needed to be strong, both for her kids and for herself. Today was not just about facing Jake, it was about confronting the truth within her heart. In the chaos of getting her children ready for school, her daughter saw the weariness on her face. "Mom, are you okay?" Elizabeth's small voice cut through Mary's thoughts, making her pause. "Just a little tired, honey. But I promise to make it up to you later," she said, ruffling Elizabeth's hair. Once her kids were off, Mary felt that familiar mix of excitement and anxiety flood her. The moment of truth was approaching. Could rekindling that flame with Jake be part of her journey to rediscover herself? As 6 o'clock approached, she tidied up the house and attempted to clear her mind. A familiar knock echoed through the hall, and her heart raced. She opened the door to see Jake standing there, a nervous smile on his face. "Hey," he said softly. "Hey," she replied, feeling a rush of emotions. They both stood there, on the threshold of something uncertain. The warmth of familiarity battled against the chill of doubt. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice full of promise and uncertainty. Mary nodded, stepping aside to let him in. In that moment, she realized something powerful: there was still hope, still a chance to find her way back home. But would their conversation lead to understanding, or would it further entangle them in a web of memories neither could escape? As the door closed behind them, Mary couldn't help but wonder, were they finally ready to confront the past together, or would they simply drown deeper in it? Mary led Jake to the living room, her pulse quickening. The familiarity of his presence stirred a mix of nostalgia and trepidation. She could still smell his cologne, a faint reminder of countless evenings spent sharing dreams under the stars. "Can I get you something to drink?" she asked, trying to regain her composure. Jake shook his head, his eyes fixed on her. There was a weight in his gaze that made her heart ache. "Just I've missed you," he said slowly, his words hanging in the air like a heavy fog. "Me too," she replied, unable to meet his eyes. She busied herself arranging a stray pillow, anything to divert her attention from the warmth spreading across her cheeks. The silence between them felt thick, almost suffocating. They both took a seat on opposite ends of the couch, like two ships passing in the night, anchored yet adrift. Mary glanced at the family photos on the wall, each smile a reminder of the life she was trying to build. She frowned. "So, how have you been?" Jake asked, breaking the tension, but his voice faltered. The question felt futile, like asking a sailor on a sinking ship whether the water was cold. "Just trying to keep things together, you know," Mary said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The kids, work, everything." "Yeah, I get that." Jake shifted uncomfortably, and for a moment, she saw the boy she used to know, but behind his eyes lingered a man weathered by life's storms. He spoke about his job, his own struggles, trying to bridge the gap that had grown between them. Mary listened, but her heart was elsewhere, locked in a battle between the love of her past and the responsibilities of her present. As he talked, the shadows of doubt whispered in her mind. Would he understand the choices she made? The mistakes? Could he accept her as she was now? The allure of their history tugged at her, but the worries of their current lives pulled her back. Mary Jake's voice broke through her thoughts. He looked straight at her, unwavering. What really happened? Why did we lose what we had? The honesty in his gaze pierced through her defenses. Tears threatened to spill over as memories flooded back: the laughter, the shared secrets, the depth of their connection that neither had adequately replaced. "I made choices, Jake," she said, her voice trembling. "Choices that changed everything. Maybe you'd think I got lost. I thought I'd find my way back. That's why I reached out." His expression softened, like dawn breaking after a long night. "We all make mistakes, Mary. But it doesn't mean we don't deserve a second chance." The air crackled with possibility, and just for a moment, Mary felt the weight of expectation lift. Maybe they could navigate the rough waters together, find their way back to solid ground. But then doubt crept in again. As she drew in a deep breath, the doorbell rang, jolting them both. It sliced through the tension like a knife, sending her heart racing anew. "Sorry," she said, startled. "Let me get that." She stood and padded to the door, her mind swirling with emotion. Who could that be? Was it her children? A neighbor? Or perhaps the intrusion of reality that would remind her of the world outside this fragile bubble? Mary opened the door and was met by a familiar face, her best friend, Sarah, eyes wide with excitement but quickly transforming into concern. "Hey! I was just in the neighborhood, thought I'd surprise you." Sarah's gaze shifted to Jake, and Mary felt a tightening in her gut. She hadn't prepared for this. How would Sarah react? Hey," Mary managed to say, forcing a smile. Jake stood up, his expression unreadable, caught in the sudden shift. The air hung heavy with uncertainty, and Mary's heart raced. Would this unexpected interruption derail any chance she had at rekindling the connection with the man from her past? As her friend stepped inside, Mary felt the walls closing in. Were they about to uncover truths that had long been buried, or was this just another chance to escape the moment? The answer loomed just out of reach, and deep down, Mary knew that the evening was about to take a turn she never expected. What secrets would be revealed, and would they have the strength to face them together? Mary's heart thudded loudly in her chest as Sarah stepped over the threshold, her energy bright yet tinged with confusion. The vibrant warmth in Sarah's smile began to fade as she took in the scene, the juxtaposition of old familiarity and thick, unspoken emotions hanging in the air like an overcast sky. Hi, Jake." Sarah finally blurted out, her tone a mix of surprise and caution. Jake's lips curled into a tight grin, but his eyes, a different story, betrayed a whirlwind of feelings. "Hey, Sarah," Jake replied, his voice steady but quieter than usual. It felt as if a dam had burst, allowing a flood of memories to spill forth without restraint. "Didn't he expect to see you here," Sarah said, glancing uncertainly between the two of them. Mary bit her lip, searching for the right words to fill this growing silence. "Yeah, it's been a while." Mary's voice felt small, almost like a whisper lost amid a cacophony of emotions. "Just catching up," Jake volunteered, a hint of vulnerability slipping through his bravado. Mary felt Sarah's gaze sharpen. "Catching up?" she repeated, her eyebrows rising. "From when?" The room felt charged, each second stretching out like an eternity. "A long time ago," Mary offered, her heart heavy. It wasn't entirely a lie, but it didn't reveal the raw truth either. "Well, I've got a lot to tell you, Mary." Sarah's voice perked up, determined to reclaim the spotlight. "The kids and I were just at this amazing park, and you wouldn't believe the Splashes of Color festival they're hosting next week." "Yeah, sounds great," Mary interjected, but her eyes involuntarily drifted to Jake, who was now silently observing the exchange. "Mary," he said softly, making a move toward her. "Maybe you should. Sarah, do you want to help me with some snacks in the kitchen?" Mary suggested abruptly, cutting him off. "Sure." Sarah responded, eager for the diversion. She whisked herself away without a second thought, leaving Mary alone with Jake. As the door to the kitchen swung shut, the air thickened again. They were suddenly suspended in the void, a moment fragile yet charged with possibility. "We can't keep avoiding this," Jake's voice cut through the tension. "What are we doing?" "I don't know," Mary exclaimed, her emotions surging like a turbulent sea. We were doing fine before this. I had it all planned out. I didn't want anyone else to know. Her words trailed off, defeated. Know what? He pressed gently, his earnestness pulling at her heartstrings. She hesitated, her truth threatening to spill over like a broken dam. That I made choices I regret. She stopped short, swallowing the bitter taste of her past. Choices we all make. Choices that do not define us, Jake replied, soft but firm. Only you have the power to decide what happens next. But I can't be a part of it if you don't let me in. Just then, Sarah popped her head back into the room, her hand full of crackers and cheese, the lightheartedness of her demeanor a stark contrast to the heaviness in the room. Ready to snack while we talk? Oh. I forgot to tell you, I ran into someone today who had something interesting to say about the both of you. Mary's stomach flipped at the implication, every muscle in her body tense. What had Sarah heard? What would she say next? Did she suspect the truth? Caught between an emotional precipice and the looming judgment of friendship, Mary felt both exposed and ready to dive into the depths of her buried truth. Would she let the night unravel the secrets they all shared? Tell me more, she urged, her voice steady yet trembling beneath a veneer of resolve. As Sarah smiled brightly, preparing to share whatever news she had, Mary braced herself for the consequences both unknown and inevitable. Would this be the evening of revelations they feared, or a chance to finally heal? In that charged moment, standing between memories and decisions yet to be made, Mary knew one thing: the fragile peace that had existed was about to be shattered. The tension in the room felt almost palpable as Sarah settled into a chair, her eyes sparkling with mischief. So, you know that friend of mine, Lisa? She told me something wild today. Apparently, she saw you two together in Vegas. Mary's heart sank, her stomach twisting into a knot. The truth could no longer hide behind the walls she built. Together? She echoed, trying to play it cool. What do you mean? Oh, you know how gossip spreads. Allegedly, you both looked really cozy. Sarah smirked, oblivious to the way Mary's face blanched. Jake took a step back, his expression shifting from concern to alarm. This isn't good, he muttered, likely reflecting the whirlwind thoughts racing through Mary's mind. We were just trying to reconnect, that's all, Mary breathed out, sensing the weight of Jake's eyes on her. In her heart, she wished that everything could just stay buried, hidden away from prying eyes. Reconnect? Sarah interjected, her tone teasing. With all those splashes of color or whatever Vegas had to offer. I don't think it's funny, Jake interjected sharply. This isn't a joke, Sarah. Mary felt a flicker of gratitude for his defense, but it was overshadowed by the panic rising within her. Would Sarah continue down this path? I just mean. Sarah paused, her playful expression faltering as she sensed the undercurrent of discomfort. What's the big deal? If you two have feelings for each other, why not just say it? Because that's not how it works. Mary said, the words escaping in a rush. It's complicated. It's messy. The weight of her own choices crushed her with every syllable. Why do we let our pasts dictate our present? Jake's voice softened again, catching her breath. You should just be honest with yourself and with Sarah. Or do you want this hanging over our heads forever? Mary's throat tightened. Maybe he was right. Maybe it was time to let the truth breathe free. But the risk felt monumental, and fear bubbled just beneath her skin. What if revealing everything ripped apart the fragile threads they managed to weave back together? Mary? Sarah's gentle prodding snapped her back to the moment. What happened in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Or was it more than that? Mary looked at Jake, who was staring at her intently, as if trying to peel back the layers hiding her truth. In that moment, she realized that keeping everything bottled up was hurting not just her, but everyone involved. There is something I need to say, she finally began, her voice trembling slightly. Suddenly, Her phone buzzed loudly on the table, breaking the palpable silence. Mary glanced down at the screen, her heart dropping further. It was a text from an out-of-town number, someone from Vegas, someone who could unravel it all. "Who is it?" Jake asked, his concern creeping back into his voice. "Can't really say," she whispered, hesitating before she tapped the screen, her heart racing. "Everyone needs to know what's really going on, don't you think?" Sarah interjected, oblivious to the turmoil inside Mary. "We're in this together." Merging fear with reluctant hope, Mary took a deep breath. Would this be the night she peeled away the layers? Could she embrace the chaos of the truth without losing everything she held dear? But the message flashed across the screen, resurfacing emotions she thought were laid to rest. As she hesitated, staring at the vibrating phone, she felt the walls closing in around her. "Mary?" Jake's voice cut through the fog. "What are you going to do?" And in the pause that followed, the air thickened again. The truth dangled perilously close, ready to fracture lives as it set her free. Would she dare to confront the reality of her choices, or let fear dictate her silence? Mary's fingers hovered over the screen, unfamiliar dread washing over her. The tall walls she had built to keep her secrets safe now felt like a cage. She stole a glance at Jake, whose eyes were filled with concern and determination. It was in moments like these that she could feel the weight of expectation pressing down, not only from him but from Sarah too, who leaned forward slightly, her curiosity simmering beneath the surface. "Mary, whatever it is, you can talk to us," Jake urged softly. Her breath caught in her throat. What could she possibly say that would encapsulate the whirlwind of feelings wrapped around the decision she was facing? The truth about Vegas and everything that had happened had been a storm brewing inside her. Could it really be worth unleashing? She took a deep breath and clicked on the text. The screen lit up, casting a harsh glow that illuminated her face in the dim light. It was from an unknown number, the message reading simply, "We need to talk. You left something in Vegas." Panic struck, leaving her breathless. What had she left behind? The memories spilled forth, like rain flooding a drain. The laughter, the late nights, the connection that had flowed so easily between her and Christine, the old friend from college who had unexpectedly walked back into her life. The feeling of liberation had almost been intoxicating, and she feared that whatever she had left in Vegas might reveal those depths she wasn't ready to confront. "Mary?" Sarah's voice pulled her back from drowning in her thoughts. "Are you all right?" A nervous laugh escaped Mary's lips, sounding entirely too hollow even to her own ears. "It's just I don't even know what I'm supposed to say. I didn't expect any of this." Jake reached out, his hand brushing against hers gently. "You don't have to face this alone. Just tell us. Whatever it is, we can handle it together." The camaraderie felt like a precious lifeline, but Mary couldn't let go of the nagging thought that revealing everything might sever that connection, rather than strengthen it. What if her truth shattered the trust they had built? What if she lost both of them in one fell swoop? "Is it about Christine?" Sarah asked, her eyes narrowing just slightly, sensing Mary's hesitation. "Is that who was with you in Vegas?" Mary's breath hitched. Jake's eyes darted between the two of them, discerning the unspoken tension flooding the air. The moment felt endless, and with each passing second, the weight of the truth pressed heavier upon her chest, as if her lips were glued shut by fear. "Yes, we reconnected," she finally managed to murmur, glancing up at Sarah's rising eyebrows. "But it wasn't supposed to happen again." Jake frowned slightly, she could see the cogs turning in his mind, his expression reflecting concern and confusion. "What do you mean? How serious was it?" Mary's gaze flicked to the now quiet phone, and she knew she had to keep going. "It was fun, carefree, but it spiraled." She swallowed hard, the words resting on the tip of her tongue. "I kissed her." The confession hung in the air, a palpable silence following her admission. She felt exposed, vulnerable. For a moment, she thought she could see the pieces of their friendship fracturing in the air. Did you want to see her again? Jake spoke gently, his voice a soft anchor in the storm of emotions swirling within her. I don't know. Mary shot back, completely overwhelmed. I thought I wanted to rekindle what we used to have, but now I'm not so sure. Sarah's face flickered from shock to empathy. You're afraid it'll change everything for us, aren't you? Yes. Mary said, her voice cracking. I'm so scared of losing what we've built. Jake squeezed her hand tighter. But what happens if you don't address it? Don't bottle it up. As the realities of her choices and the text message settled like heavy stones in her chest, Mary realized she had a choice to make. It would take courage, but perhaps it was time to embrace the chaos and confront whatever lay ahead, maybe even reach out to the unknown number. Maybe I should respond, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else, her heart racing again. But as soon as she said it, the phone buzzed once more, and her heart raced at the possibility of what would come next. Mary hesitated, glancing at her friends before looking down at the screen. What could it say? And would that message send her down a path that would forever alter the three of them? Do it, Jake urged, his voice steady and sure. The truth felt closer, and just beyond the screen was the possibility of everything changing for better or worse. Mary's heart pounded as she stared at the phone, the screen flickering like her thoughts. The tension in the room wrapped around her like a thick fog, closing in on all sides. Jake and Sarah were watching, waiting, their own emotions hung heavy in the air. Just open it, Sarah encouraged, her voice low but full of reassurance. The pressure was relentless. Mary took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her decision pressing against her chest. She tapped the screen and began to type. What did I leave? Her fingers trembled as she sent the message. The seconds crawled by. She could feel Jake's concern radiating towards her, and even Sarah's quiet resilience felt almost electric. It was as though they were all holding their breath, waiting for the storm to break. Almost immediately, the phone vibrated. Her heart leaped as the message appeared. You know what you left. Mary's pulse quickened. Thoughts raced through her mind. What did that even mean? Did it refer to the kiss? The laughter? The memories they had shared? What does it say? Jake asked, his tone gentle but firm. It's cryptic, she replied, her voice wavering. They're playing games. Do you recognize the number? Sarah leaned in closer, searching Mary's face for clues. Mary shook her head, swallowing hard. Only Christine and the friends I made while I was there had my number. The realization hung in the air between them, a cold shiver racing down her spine. She felt exposed, almost like a raw nerve. You need to decide what you want, Jake said, squeezing her hand again. This is the time to be honest. With us, and with yourself. The simplicity of his words was overwhelming. It sparked something deep within her, a flicker of clarity amidst the chaos. She had cultivated this version of herself around her friends, hiding bits of truth in the shadows, but now it felt suffocating. Maybe she really did need to face her past, the unexpected complications with Christine, and the resulting uncertainty threatening her stable present. I think I need to go back, Mary breathed, the words spilling out as she realized the depth of what she had lost. Not just for them but for me. You're not talking about running away, are you? Sarah asked, her brow furrowed, a hint of worry flashing in her eyes. No, it's not like that. I need closure. I want to understand what happened and why it drew me in so strongly. Jake nodded, his expression softening. But what if it changes everything? What if it makes things worse? The fear in his voice mirrored the anxiety building inside her. Maybe, Mary admitted, her voice a whisper. She took a deep breath. But pretending it didn't happen is already tearing me apart. Another buzz interrupted them. The new message popped onto the screen. The truth is rarely what you expect it to be. Meet me. The request felt like a jolt of electricity. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. This time, they would need more than a surface-level conversation. "Are you really going to do this?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide with concern and a hint of disbelief. Mary hesitated, clinging to the moment, feeling the weight of her decision swirling around her. "I can't ignore it," she finally said. "What if it leads to heartbreak?" Sarah questioned with a tremor in her voice. "Or healing," Mary shot back, emboldened by her own words. With growing determination, she started typing. "I'll meet you. When and where?" As she pressed send, the uncertainty merged with a strange surge of hope. Whatever lay ahead, it felt like a secret door opening, one that could change everything or, perhaps, just lead her back to herself. "Are you ready for whatever comes?" Jake asked quietly as they awaited a response. "For once, I think I am," she replied, feeling a flicker of conviction igniting within her. But even with her newfound resolve, a ripple of doubt settled back in. What would she confront when she faced Christine again? And was she prepared to answer all the questions waiting for her beyond that door? The phone buzzed again, breaking through the heaviness suffocating the room. Mary's heart raced, a confusing mix of dread and anticipation flooding her veins. Could it be Christine's reply? She dared to hope as she glanced at the screen. "Tomorrow at the cafe on Maple. Come at 4. The message was succinct, almost clinical, yet it sent a whirlwind of emotions spiraling inside her. For every second she stared at the screen, the reality of the meeting grew closer, its impending weight pressing down like an anchor. What would she say? How would Christine react? "I guess it's set," Mary said, her voice shaky but determined. The fear of what lay ahead loomed, but the thought of facing the past also lit a fire within her. "You sure you want to go alone?" Jake asked, concern clouding his brows. "I need to do this by myself," Mary replied, grounding herself in the moment. "It's about finding my own truth." Sarah placed a supportive hand on Mary's shoulder. "Just promise to call us afterward, okay? We want to know how it goes." Mary nodded, deeply aware that she would need their encouragement more than ever once she stepped into that cafe. She could already picture the nuances, the clinking of coffee cups, the sound of laughter, and the whispers of memories that would hang in the air like ghosts of the past. The rest of the night flew by in a blur, filled with anxious thoughts and a restless heart. Mary tried to distract herself, engaging in light conversation with Jake and Sarah, but the impending meeting occupied her mind, gnawing at her resolve. Each time she glanced at the clock, the minutes felt more like hours, twisting her stomach tighter in anticipation. Finally, morning broke, soft light streaming through her window. The day stretched ahead, heavy and pregnant with possibility. Mary dressed methodically, picking her outfit with care. A simple sweater, the color of deep blue like the ocean, unfathomable and vivid. She wanted to feel grounded yet open, resilient yet vulnerable. As she stepped outside, the crisp air welcomed her like an old friend. The sunlight warmed her skin, offering a thin veil of comfort. With each step toward the cafe, her breath steadied, and she felt tendrils of determination winding through her. This was it today, she would grab hold of her past, unearth her truths, and hopefully redefine her future. When she reached the cafe, her heart thrummed with intensity. The mix of aromas of fresh brew, baked pastries, a hint of cinnamon swirled around her, igniting nostalgia for those simpler moments spent with friends. But as her gaze swept over the tables, anticipation shifted to anxiety. Where was Christine? The clock ticked louder in her mind as she waited, scanning every face that walked in. Each time someone came through the door, a rush of adrenaline hit her. What would Christine look like? Would she be glad to see Mary, or would the tension be palpable? Finally, after what felt like a lifetime, a familiar silhouette appeared. Christine walked through the door with a cautious smile, her dark hair glinting under the soft cafe lights. For an instant, the memories flooded back: laughter, shared secrets, the weight of unspoken words. It electrified the air between them. "Mary," Christine said softly, her voice a mix of surprise and hesitant warmth. "Hey," Mary replied, fighting the torrent of emotions surging within. But just as their eyes locked, a sense of uncertainty loomed. They were no longer just friends, unresolved feelings danced in the space between them, amplified by the distance of time apart. As they both took a seat, the questions loomed large. Would the truth they sought bring them closer or tear them apart? Mary took a deep breath, fighting the urge to pull back. Perhaps this was the moment of truth she had been waiting for. But as the first words began to form on her lips, would she dare to dive deep into the heart of the matter? With everything on the line, would she be ready for what lay beyond the door of honesty that was about to swing wide open? Mary sat at the table, her breath hanging in the air like fog. Christine looked just as she remembered, but the weight of the past clung to both of them. This was at the moment to face unspoken truths and hidden fears. "Thanks for meeting me," Mary started, her heart hammering in her chest. Christine nodded, her lips curving slightly. I needed to see you too." Silence wrapped around them, mingling with the sounds of clinking coffee cups and soft chatter. Mary's throat felt tight. Part of her wanted to flee under the weight of it all, but she pressed on. "I didn't handle things well in Vegas," Mary said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I got lost in everything and made choices that hurt people, especially you." Christine's eyes softened. "I was confused when you reached out. I thought we were reconnecting." Mary took a deep breath. "We were. But I was also escaping. I played with fire without realizing the damage it could cause." Tears glistened in Christine's eyes. "I thought we were friends. Friends don't leave each other in the dark. I guess I hoped we could be more." Those words hung heavily. Friends who became something deeper. Fleeting feelings rekindled in Vegas now faced the scrutiny of reality. Mary looked down at her hands, shaking slightly. "I kept thinking about you," Mary confessed, her voice choking. "The joy of our past felt so beautiful, it was like a firework, and I simply got lost." Christine's gaze was piercing but kind. "Have you thought about what you really want? Is it closure or a second chance?" The question pierced through Mary's uncertainty. A moment hung between them, a heavy pause filled with countless memories and new beginnings yet to be defined. I want to remember who I was before," Mary admitted, voice steadying. "Before all the chaos. But I can't pretend those feelings aren't there." "I feel them too," Christine replied, her honesty a balm to the wounds of their past. "But we need to deal with our lives as they are now. You have your kids, and they deserve your whole heart." Mary nodded, anguish swirling within her. "I'm scared I'll ruin everything again." "I think we can navigate this together," Christine offered gently, eyes shimmering with hope. "We just need to be open and honest, not just with each other, but with ourselves. Mistakes won't define us." As the warmth of their shared honesty washed over them, the burdens they carried felt a bit lighter, as if light was breaking through the storm clouds. The cafe buzzed around them, but they existed in a world of their own. "What if I told you I want to explore this again, but with clarity?" Mary ventured cautiously. Christine's eyes lit up. "Then let us do it. But slowly, with our eyes wide open." "Deal." A weight lifted as they both shared a radiant smile, a collective understanding that despite the past, the future remained unwritten. With every passing moment, hope began to weave a new story between them, a chance for healing, forgiveness, and perhaps, the rekindling of something profound. Mary's phone buzzed in her pocket, breaking the quiet. She pulled it out, glancing at the screen. It was Jake, a message full of simple encouragement: "Whatever happens, we're in this together." She smiled, realizing that she had built a support system around her, ready to help her through the weight of this transformation. "Let us meet again," Christine suggested, her eyes twinkling. "Yes. Let us make it a plan," Mary agreed, feeling a flutter of freedom within her. As they exchanged contact numbers, Mary's heart softened. She'd taken a step on a path towards clarity not only with Christine but also with herself. Leaving behind shadows, embracing what lay ahead could finally weave her past and present into something not just whole, but beautiful. As the day wrapped its arms around them, closure from the past mixed with the thrill of discovery. Mary knew this was just the beginning. She could be a mother, a friend, and without losing herself, finally explore what it meant to truly feel alive again. And just like that, the door to hope swung wide open. Now that you've reached the end, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans can understand how important your support is to keep the journey going.